All right, good afternoon. Welcome to CDTs. Today we're going to be covering a few of the productivity enhancements in Creo Parametric. For those of you that are joining us just now, I know some of you guys have been on there for just a little while. Hopefully you can hear us all right. If you're having problems with your computer speakers, you can use the telephone instead. If you click the little telephone radio button, then it'll switch over to a dial-in number with an access code and a PIN number. If you prefer listening on the telephone, you can do that as well. We did have one question that if you don't have a microphone, you don't need a microphone. If you have a question, you can just type it into the box below. We're going to keep you guys muted just for everybody's sake. We got a lot of you on here, so we don't want anyone's background noise bleeding over into the presentation. So if you do have a question later in the broadcast, feel free to type them in at any time. We'll get to them at the end. And if you prefer to speak, then we can also unmute you, and you can ask your question verbally if that is what you prefer. We're going to be recording this and posting on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. That's the details on that are going to be on the last slide, as well as all of the other slides, all the other presentations that we've done recently are on there as well. So like I said, welcome to the presentation. We're going to be covering Creo Parametric productivity enhancements. My name is Brad Heuiser. I'm the applications engineer here in St. Louis. For those of you that are familiar with CDT, you can tune out for just a few seconds. If not, I know there's some people that really have never had any touches with CDT. A few people that have been directed to us from maybe PTC's Twitter. So if you're familiar with VARs, we're a value-added resale, or VAR for short. The best analogy for that is kind of like we're the Ford dealership. PTC is Ford. So when you want to go buy a car, you really go to the dealership. You don't go to Ford, of course, unless you're buying 100,000 of them, then you would go straight to Ford. But typically you go to the dealership to purchase your software and to get all of your service, and we are the people that help take care of the customers. We sell all of the PTC software: Windchill, Creo, MathCAD, and ArborText. We've actually been getting a lot of interest lately on MathCAD with the new Prime 2.0 that's coming out soon. We did a webinar last week. If you guys were interested in seeing that, that's also on our website. Excuse me. So what you're going to find is that what sets CDT apart from a lot of the other VARs is that we are dedicated to supporting our customers. Myself and Ben and Sukumar and the others here at CDT, you'll find when we're not teaching classes or not doing product demos or doing webinars like this, we're spending almost all of our time helping out customers. Also, one thing that sets us apart is we do have 3 PTC certified training centers: Kansas City, Arlington, Texas, which is Dallas, and here in St. Louis, my favorite. But really, we do teach classes with only 1 or 2 students. I actually have a class next week and the week after, both with just 1 student in them. And most places you'll find have minimum student requirements. And if you don't have enough students, then they'll cancel the class on you at the last minute. So feel free to go to our website there listed at the bottom, cdtplm.com/training, and that'll show all of the things we've got on our calendar. If there's something that you don't see there that you'd like, some specific class, feel free to send somebody an email, myself or Rosalinda or TJ, and then we can look at getting that added to the schedule. If it's something that we don't have currently training for, then we'll look into even getting certified to teach it. I know I'm pretty new to CDT. I've only been here for 3 or 4 months, and I'm still getting trained on lots of classes, so it's not a big deal for me to throw in something at the request of the customer. So what we've got on the agenda for today is, first a little quick poll to get some background information on you guys, if you don't mind. Then I've got a live demonstration, and then we'll do the Q&A at the end. So Rosalinda, I know you've got some questions. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and throwing those up on the screen.
Okay, here we go. We have 2 more after this.
Okay.
And last one. Okay, Brad, it's all yours.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys filling that out for us. That helps us to tailor these discussions towards what our customers are looking for to make sure we're not presenting something that nobody's interested in. So kind of on a lighthearted note, what do you guys typically do to help with your productivity? I asked some of my friends in the engineering field who are still cranking out models all day long, when you really need to be more productive, what do? One guy sent me this picture. I'm going to construct a box around my cubicle and lock everybody out so that everyone leaves me alone. And then I found this on the internet as well. This is an actual product. You can go and find this. There's instructions there at the bottom to go if you actually are good at knitting, which I'm sure most of you are excellent knitters. If you want to go and make this to block people out, help you with productivity. Well, that's not really what we're interested in today. We're interested in helping you be more productive with your software. I wish we could help you with your other productivity issues, but today we're going to focus on Pro Engineer. And just some of the things that are new with Creo Parametric 1.0 that will help you be more productive. I'm going to focus on a few areas: the new interface, some sketcher, assembly, enhancements, a little bit of freestyle modeling, some sheet metal, and if we have time, just touch on the flexible modeling. I know a lot of this is stuff that has been covered in some detail, not really detailed, in some past presentations we've done. But if you've seen this, bear with me. If not, we've got a lot of new people that haven't seen our presentations. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on over. The first thing I'm going to do is we're going to go into Wildfire 5 to demonstrate to you guys just one of the enhancements on just how to make a simple part. I can show you. There's been some talk about exactly what they've done with Creo Parametric, and one of the things that they've done is they've really strove to make it a lot more intuitive, make it a lot quicker, little things here and there. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to sketch a real simple extrusion here, and you can see all of the different steps I'm going to take. It's going to be real simple, square, with another square on top of it. So I have to go in, create some construction center lines, make my square, then actually go in and set these two sides equal to each other. And we'll make this 250. All right. Oh, just crashed Wildfire 5. That's a lot of fun. Well, we'll skip that. We'll just jump right into the Creo part of it. What I was going to show you was just a real quick, easy sketch of how to create a real simple extrusion. And actually, I'll go ahead and start opening that back up in the background, so that way you guys can. That was something I think is pretty cool to see how things have changed. So while I'm doing that, I'll cover some of the new interface features of Creo Parametric. You can see they went to the ribbon interface, which I'm sure most of you guys have already seen. There's several things that they did. They grouped things in tabs and tools. So the modeling tools are all together. Your annotation tools are all together. Your analysis tools are all together. So that helps get things kind of where they have all the similar tools together. Kind of like at home. I keep all of my wrenches in one drawer of my toolbox. I keep all my screwdrivers in another drawer. So you want all of your similar tools to be pretty well together. There's a new command search feature which allows you to go in and, if I'm looking for the extrude function, I can type in extrude, or part of it, and it'll autofill, and I can mouse over it and highlight it, and it'll actually show me in yellow which tab it's in and also the location of it. And if it's in multiple locations, you'll see that it's in 2 or 3 locations. And then I could click it from here and go straight to the extrude tool. Another cool thing they did was they added some keyboard shortcuts to help kind of get rid of some of the map keys. I know, when I was running Wildfire 4 and Wildfire 5, I'd have 20, 30 map keys for specific commands I was trying to do. But now if I wanted to go, let's say, back to that extrude feature, I can hit Alt M for the model tab and then X for extrude, and now I'm right back in that same extrude feature. And you can see while I'm doing extrude, the extrude tab is up. Whenever I go in and click on a plane for a sketch, now I have a sketch tab that pops up as well. We'll go ahead and back out of this. Okay, we'll flip back over to Wildfire 5 now that it's up and running again. So I'm just going to create a simple part. I'm going to go in, and if you guys want to count along the mouse clicks, you can. I counted earlier, it was about 38 or so. Right-click, define internal sketch, select my plane, click Sketch. I'm going to go in, and I want to create some construction center lines to make this square. Go in and get my square. Well, that's actually just a rectangle, so now I actually have to go in. Here's another couple mouse clicks. Make the 2 sides equal to each other. Go in and set this to 250. Now, select OK. See, I had to come all the way down here to click OK. Now, reorient and drag this to where I want it. We'll make this 100 tall. So now I want to go in. We'll turn these planes off up here. I want to go in and I want to create another box on top of there. So click my extrude tool, right click, define internal sketch, select my plane, click sketch. Well, now I want to snap it to this bottom right corner here. So right click, select references. I want to select this face. I want to select this face. So now I'm going to go in. I'm going to create a square that snaps to these 2 points. I'm going to go in and make it equal again, which I could have done that without, could have dragged from that corner up and made, done some on-the-fly constraints there, and that would have worked just as well. Now, again, have to come down here and click this check mark, go in and drag it to where I want it, or go in and we'll make this one 100 tall as well. Excuse me. So there's the part I'm going to make. Now let's flip over to Creo Parametric 1.0, and I'll show you how to do it the exact same way, or using kind of a more advanced, you'll see how much quicker it is. So extrude, click my plane. Notice it does not reorient to the sketch view. We'll talk about that again here in just a moment. I'm going to go in. There's a new feature, center rectangle. Come in and make this so that that's there. Make this 250. Now, normally you'd have to go down here and click the checkbox. The checkbox is up here now, but now I can simply right-click, select OK, and I don't have to reorient to drag this to where I want it. I want it to be about 100. I'm going to go ahead and change it to 100. But it's already in the 3D view. So now, here's one of my favorite features. We'll turn our planes off here. I'm going to go in and make another extrusion right on top. Select this here. So I want it to snap to this corner here. I don't have to select the references. I can just go in, grab my rectangle. This time I'll do a standard corner rectangle. Well, I don't have any references to snap to, so I hold down the Alt key, and it pauses my sketch. You can see the point still hovering there in space. Select this, let go of the Alt key. Now that's a reference. Do the same on the bottom. Now see, I just added 2 references just by holding down the Alt key and selecting the 2 faces. Now I'm going to come in and make this square. It's kind of hard to see the 2 little green L's, but they're there, I promise. Make that square. We'll make this 100. Middle click and right click. I'm sorry. OK. Now set this to 100 as well. So if you were keeping track, the other Wildfire 5, this was somewhere in the neighborhood of about 38 mouse clicks Creo Parametric, it was in the neighborhood of about 21. So, it's little things that really help. I know some of you guys right now are probably getting a little agitated because you don't like that when I create an extrusion that it doesn't reorient, because that's the way it's always done it, and that's the way that I was used to doing it, and it took a little getting used to. You have a couple different options. You have a button right here, sketch view, which will flip it to the sketch view, or if you guys prefer to do like it did in the old way, there's actually a Config Pro option, which I'll show you. The Config Pro options now are simple. You go to File and Options, and then down here at the bottom, Configuration Editor. These are your Config Pro options. Because I do turn a few different things on and off all the time, I actually set them as favorites. So up here you've got auto _ add _ remove. We'll show that one in a little bit. And then Sketcher starts in 2D. That's the other one there. So I'll select that, turn it back on. No, I don't want to save it to my Config Pro. So now I'm going to go in, Extrude, select that face. Now it snaps back the way you would expect it to. I'm going to turn on Shaded with Edges so you guys can see my other feature there. So now let me show you the other feature that was on there. Go ahead and highlight that again. Options, Favorites, Auto Add Remove. That's off by default. So you go in, we'll turn it off by default. Set that back the way it was. So I'm going to go in and make an extrusion here. I'm going to make a rectangle right up here. Now, when I middle click, it's shaded. Select OK. Now when I drag it, you see it doesn't really do anything. It's staying as an extrusion, not a cut in both directions. Let's turn this off. Let's go back in and change that. Auto Add Remove on. Now I go in, do the same thing. Select my rectangle. Select OK. Now when I drag it the other way, see how it automatically turns into a cut? I get a pop-up there that says the default option has switched to add material, or the other way, the default option has been switched to remove material. So it's toggling this on and off depending on some smart features there, where if I'm extruding something into a solid that already exists, it automatically changes that to a remove material instead. So that's one of the really cool features. It's save you a few mouse clicks here and there. Back up just a little bit. You guys probably noticed this little graphics toolbar here. This is another cool feature. If you notice in Wildfire 5 and the previous ones, when you open a model, you get, this is a simple one, so you don't have a whole lot of planes or anything. You get that, what we call a bird's nest, where all of your planes are just, you can't even see the part because of so many planes that are bird's nesting over the top of it. Well, the way you'd have to do that is set a Config Pro option to turn those off by default, or when you open it, come in and go up here and click all these off. Well, now in Creo Parametric, they're all here under one button with a checkbox. You can turn them all on and off at the same time. So that saves you a little bit more time there. There's some other render modes. This is something that a lot of people like, the shading with edges. This allows you to get some of the views like some of the other software out there that allows you to see some of the more complicated geometry a little easier. I know there's several engineers that were really excited when they saw me demo that the first time. So let's hop back in. We'll do another extrude right here on top of this, just to show you some Sketcher stuff here. So you noticed when I completed something, and this isn't a new feature by any means, it's shaded by default. That is on by default in Creo Parametric. That was an option in Wildfire 5 and maybe, I believe, Wildfire 4 before that. You have your feature requirements, shade closed loops, highlight open ends, and overlapping geometry, which when these two, shade closed loops and highlight open ends, are turned on by default now. So when you're editing a sketch and you change something so that it's no longer, let's say, if I'm sketching a square over here and my ends don't quite mesh up the way I want them to, now you can see it's not shaded because it's not closed, and also it's highlighting the two open ends. And that's really useful when you're editing a lot of geometry, when you're going in and deleting part of a sketch because you want to change the shape of an extrusion or a revolve or what have you. Suddenly, now your revolve feature doesn't complete anymore. Well, now you can see that's what happened. It'll actually highlight that for you. Then also, if I've got a circle that overlaps this, now it's not shading as a closed loop, but if I turn this on, it'll actually highlight. I can select this and it'll highlight which parts overlap in red there. So it's little things again like that help speed things up. And as you noticed before, I showed you this new center rectangle, which allows you, when you're creating something, a lot of times your start part might be a square about the center. Now I can do that in 2 mouse clicks. Select center, or 3 mouse clicks. Select the tool, select my center point, and now snap it. Where now that's a square. That was 3 mouse clicks. Before, like you saw in Wildfire 5, that was I want to say 7 or 9 mouse clicks, just there by itself. So let's cancel out of this. I'm going to show you guys some of the assembly features now. So let's see. This file was right here, engine.assembly. So another one of these really nice PTC models. Looks really nice, and you can really tell the difference here between shaded with edges and standard shading. The shading with edges really kind of makes it pop a little more. So if I'm going to go in, and now I need to go in and find some bolts. One of the things they've added in the model tree is a search bar here in the model tree where I can go in. If I'm looking for bolts, obviously this is a small part. You can see all of my bolts right there. But let's say this had 100,000 components, then I go in and type star bolt star, and it'll actually hit enter, and it'll find all of the parts that have bolt in the part name. So you can see my 5 by 18 millimeter bolt, my 5 by 28 millimeter bolt are all highlighted. In the model, it also highlights them in green. Some of those are hidden on the inside of the part. I can go and show you that those are inside. But it's highlighted in green, and it stays that way. When I go over here and click and grab some stuff and edit it, it stays in green until I go back and clear this out, which is really handy. So another thing that they've done is, if I want to select parts, they have a new selection feature where I can select things by a window. If you notice, it only selected part of those parts. If you drag from the left to the right, top left to bottom right, or also bottom left to top right, it only selects the items that fall 100% within that box. If I select from the top right to the bottom left, or from the bottom right to the top left, then it selects all of the parts that not only are in that box, but that the box also crosses. So you can see up here, it's selecting all of those parts that even that line intersected. Let's flip over to another one here. Favorites. Assembly. Distance, and we'll open this assembly here. Another cool thing that they've done is, how many times are you inserting a part and someone comes up and talks to you, or you get distracted and you go back and you don't know how, if you get it fully constrained. Sometimes in the past, if you're not being real careful, you might not fully constrain something, or you might have something constrained in a way that you didn't want to. Well, now they've added this in. We'll add this shaft in here. Where I can go in, this is the new 3D dragger, which allows me, I can grab it here in the middle and drag it around. I can grab it here and spin it, I want to spin it up this way. I can drag it along a specific axis. So let's say I want to go in. My favorite feature about this is Gnosis is purple, by the way. That's going to change in a second. I'll go in and I'll select this cylinder and select this cylinder. Now notice that most of those are grayed out. I can still grab it and drag it, but I can't drag it this way anymore. I can't drag it that way anymore. These planes, I can't drag it along those planes. I can only spin it, and I can only drag it up and down. Those are the two things that my one constraint does not constrain. So now let's go in and we'll select this surface and that face, and drag it down here. Notice it turned orange, and this is purple to show me that my distance constraint is the one I'm currently, that I just constrained, the one I'm playing with. Notice that my dragger disappeared. It's fully constrained, turned orange, so that now I know that this part is 100% fully constrained. That should be down there. So that's really useful for making sure that you do get things 100% constrained. You still have lots of the you still have the tool up here, the menu up here behaves pretty much the same way it did in Wildfire 5. I go in and delete these and put new constraints in. I can go in and set mechanism constraints, pins, sliders, cylinders, etc. Excuse me. All right. Yeah, let's cancel out of that. So now let's talk about freestyle modeling. Let's start a new part. And Ben did cover this a few weeks ago, a month and a half or so ago. I think this is really cool. It's allows you kind of to do push-pull kind of modeling with clay type options, where now I can go in and manipulate things, make some pretty complicated geometry that before, if I was just trying to do in Pro E or Creo Parametric, that there'd be no way I could model some of this stuff. So let's say I want to go in and make a handle for a tennis racket. I can go in and we'll select this bottom face down here and make it flat. Now let's select this top face up here, and I'm going to drag this up, make it long. Let's make this somewhat flat as well. Now I can go in and say I want to take this side and split it 4 times. And I can go in and grab this and this one here and drag those together and actually make some pretty complicated surfaces here. Select OK. This is a surface. That's another thing that they do in Creo Parametric, is they also take surfaces and turn them kind of this purplish color, kind of a light blue violet. Solids, as you can see from the other part I made over here, are gray. So you can tell from looking at something if this is a surface or a solid. Well, let's say I want to go in and I want to cut a hole in this for the actual tennis handle to go in. I can select it, solidify. Now it is a solid, and I can go in and put a hole in the bottom just the same way as I would with another any part. Go in, select this one, select that one. We'll set these both to align. So now you can see I have my part in there. Well, let's say I can go back in just and edit this, and let's say I want to make it taller. Let's select this top face here, stretch it up some more, and let's twist it, drag it over this way. We're going to make a really odd tennis racket. I'm going to come over here and drag this guy up here and pull it out this way just a little bit. So, you can see that's a really complicated surface. and this will automatically update whenever I select OK. It automatically solidifies again unless I did something that would cause it not to be able to be solidified. Now my hole intersects just like solid geometry, like you would expect it to. So let's close out of this guy. Let's close this guy as well. One of the things that I think is really cool about the new Creo Parametric is the new flexible modeling extension. So let's go to our working directory. I've got a part here, and Ben did do a really good demonstration of this, a full 1-hour demonstration of this a couple weeks ago. But you know, as a productivity tool, I'd be kind of negligent if I didn't at least mention it. As you can see here, this is imported geometry. This is something that I exported as a step file and then re-imported as a part. So there are no features. This is just geometry. So if I'm doing mold designs or something, and I get something from one of my vendors, and you know, I realize, oh well, this hole's not in quite the right spot. You know, I need to turn this hole by you know, 15 degrees to get the part that I actually want. Then I can come in, select this face. We'll say cut with secondary features. Now I'm going to move this. I can move it using the dragger and actually physically turn this. We'll say no, I actually want to move that using dimensions. I can come in and you know, select parts and you know, make it so that it's off of, you know, I can actually constrain it using dimensions. Or here's a better example over here. We'll take this part here, and this, you know, wow, they put that in the wrong spot. It's supposed to be over here on the side. So boss with secondary, that grabs all of the features that are associated with that. Now I'm going to move this using constraints. Let's say that we want to constrain it so that this face on the back here and this face are not normal. I don't want normal. I want those to be coincident. Now I want, let's add a new constraint. I want to select this face and this face, and I want those to be offset. Now let's constrain it one more time. This face and this face I want to be coincident. Now you can see my parts over here. Let's flip this one, and we'll take this one and flip it as well. Now we'll take this one and drag it so that we want it roughly right about there. Now see, it not only moved the part, but it also brought in all of the components with it, the round around the base. You know, this is really something that's kind of exciting to me. You know, I dealt with a lot of, in my last job, I dealt with a lot of robotic components that we had sourced in France, and you know, they would not design in Pro E. They had SolidWorks, and that's all they would use. And so we'd get these, you know, several hundred component assemblies, and we might have to move a whole 5 millimeters to get it to, you know, to accept a new tool, or you know, to spec a new motor to put on the interior, and you know, we'd have to go in and remodel, you know, this part with, you know, hundreds, if not thousands, of features, and all to move a whole 5 millimeters. Well, now I can come in and I can select this guy and boss with secondary, and I'm just going to move it with a dragger, and you know, just turn it 15 degrees, or you know, move it those 5 millimeters, and it's there. It's new geometry. It creates move features right here in the model tree. So let's say, oh well, you know, I messed up. That wasn't supposed to go there. I can delete that. Or no, that wasn't, you know, that wasn't supposed to be right there. You know, I needed to turn it, you know, a little more. I can go in and edit it just the same as if it were an actual feature on solid geometry that I created myself. So this is really kind of groundbreaking. It's allowing us to do things much faster and quicker than we've ever done them before. Let's see. I guess I missed sheet metal. Sorry about that. I know a lot of you guys are really die-hard sheet metal guys. So let me start a new part here. There's a lot of things that are really cool about the sheet metal now, which you've noticed that they've taken a lot of things that before you might have to right-click and dig through a couple menus to find, and they've put them, pretty much right up front. So now I've got my options. I've got all my customized ribbon stuff here, which we'll talk about in just a second. Now there's some sheet metal tools right here. Right here, just 3 clicks in, I can specify bend allowance tables and punch models and really do a lot of the things that took me forever to find before, and things that I can find things now with this new command search that really I had a hard time finding before when I was in Wildfire 4 and when I upgraded to Wildfire 5. It seems like I spent probably 30 to 40% of my time just finding the tool that I was intending to use. So I'm sure that you guys are gonna laugh at my my sheet metal skills, because I'm not a sheet metal master by any means, but I get by. So now I've got a sheet metal wall there. Let's put a flat wall here. Now I can simply drag and put this where I want it. I can click and drag that way. I mean, it's really there's the sheet metal portion of the update class is one of the larger portions. So I'm not going to do this justice by trying to cram it into 10 or 15 minutes. There's a lot of really cool things I've done with this, but and some of this functionality was in Wildfire 5, but now I can go in and edit things directly. And say I want this to be, oh, sorry, that's the wrong way. Minus 0.5. I want that to be half an inch in from the end, half an inch in from the end. Turn off my planes. Now there's some flange wall stuff. I can go in and flip things around really quickly and easily. I can grab here and set the thickness of my bend. And really, I really like this because it allows me to really grab a hold of it and mess with it more. I'm more of a hands-on kind of guy. I grew up playing with Legos like most of you guys did, where if I can physically manipulate something and grab it and drag it around, I model much faster. When I'm digging through menus and clicking buttons and working with tools, sometimes I don't quite get things the way that I want to. So there's a feature there. I can go in, we'll say we'll edit that feature. Go in and sketch, and create some cool line stuff where I want to come up here and do this and do something like that. Come in and edit those parts out there. Yep, that's not going to work. Yeah, like I said, I'm not the world's greatest sheet metal person. See, right there, what I was talking about earlier, this highlight open ends, right there. That's a perfect example of a time when that saved me. So come in here and I'll just trim that off. So let's say here, yeah, both the ends should be open. So now see that crazy wall I just generated? I can go in here and specify, I want it to be 2 times thickness, for all these bends, and so I have to actually go in there and change those individually, it looks like. But this is something that a novice with sheet metal was able to create in 30 seconds of playing around. So that's really, to sum up, I guess what really this is all about is that, for the longest time, Pro-E has been the software that's known to be difficult to use, the stuff that's really been you needed to take a 5-day training class in order to use it, and people that were new with it spent more than half their time trying to figure out why their models didn't work. And if you didn't have the guy at your company that could tell them, hey, you need to fix this or do this differently, then you're kind of out of luck. But they've really got tired of being known that way, and they've gone in and they've really made things much easier to use, so that people that are used to using, say, SolidWorks, they're used to kind of an easier interface, easier experience with modeling, now are going to have a leg up with Creo. Creo is even easier to use than SolidWorks, I think. I had a touch with SolidWorks version 12 recently, and worked there for a couple months, and it was, I preferred the new Creo to that, and I thought that was good, and I think the new Creo Parametric's even better. But just that, they're giving us the things that we've been asking for forever, like this command search. When I was using Wildfire 3, I proposed this to one of the VARs I was working with at the time, and I said, hey, I can't find anything. Is there some way to search for stuff? And they said, we get asked that all the time. Well, PTC's listening. They're making an honest effort to do what their customers want them to do. So this software is not only powerful and more stable than it's ever been before, and the new version of Creo 2.0 is coming out, in the near term, and that's going to be even more stable. They're really just focusing on not being that guy anymore. They want to be the leaders, and they're wanting to do things better, and they clearly are. At this point, I've shown you guys how to shave, a few seconds off of modeling time here and there, which, some of you may say, that's not that impressive. You just saved me 5 minutes on half an hour of modeling. Well, yeah, but that 5 minutes adds up, over the course of days and weeks and months, that, you could really save yourself quite a bit of time by going with this. And of course, I'm not just saying that because I'm part of a VAR. I'm saying that because I get excited about the software, and I want you guys to have the best software to use. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and flip back over to the PowerPoint presentation. We'll open it up to any questions you guys might have. I know we usually get a lot of Creo questions, so if you guys want to type some stuff in, or if you guys want to raise your hand, we can unmute you. There's a little button on your go-to meeting where you can raise your hand, and then if you guys have anything, then we'll answer it at this time. And if not, then I'll give you a couple minutes. But if not, my contact information is right here. Brad Heuiser, brad@cdtplm.com. That's my cell phone number there. If you guys need anything, even evenings or weekends, I almost even hate to say this, but feel free to call me. But I'm here for you guys. If I can't answer, obviously I won't. But I think my job is really as a helper to you guys, not as a seller of product. I'll leave that to the sales guys. They can sell you stuff, but I'm here to help. Rosalinda's on here as well. You got her email and phone number. Her email is probably on the invite to the go-to meeting as well. So if you're 10 minutes after we close, you think of something, shoot her an email or give her a call, and we'll get back to you. Our YouTube channel is right there at the bottom, youtube.com/user/customer-driven-tech. Like I said, we've got several videos up there. I guess I can even just go ahead and navigate over to it and show you.
We do have a couple of questions in the queue.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and ask those. And
the first one is, wasn't that datum display on-off button in previous/earlier Pro E releases?
Well, I'll flip back over to Wildfire 5. Yeah, they do have these buttons here, and there might be another option in there to add another button that turns all of them on and off, which I know you can do. You can create custom buttons and do config pro things, set them to map keys and stuff. I'm not sure if there was one button specifically that did that, but I guess the point of what I was saying was that's right up front. By default now, it's right here. It's not, and you guys are probably going to think this might even be a little bit silly. I think it's pretty serious, though. I'm moving my mouse from here to here instead of moving my mouse from here to up here at the top. And how many, when you're going halfway across the screen, sometimes you got to lift your mouse, and you can hear my mouse hitting the table just to slide across the screen. And I've heard that the goal was to decrease mouse clicks by 70% and decrease mouse travel by 80%. And it's all those little things that really save you the time in the long run. If that didn't answer your question, feel free to to clarify on that, or
and there is another question asking if we're going to have any tubing webcasts in the future. We will be coming out with a new webinar schedule at the end of this month, and I'll see if we can get that included as well.
I'll say as a presenter, me and Sukumar and Ben, and we get some guys from PTC occasionally to jump in, like the MathCAD one from last week. We have a meeting every couple months where we say, okay, what do we guys want to do? And if you guys send us what you want to see, I'm looking for stuff to do half the time. So yeah, if you want to see tubing, I'll write that down on my list, and we'll do tubing. So especially, email Rosalinda, email myself, or your local salesperson. If there's something you want to see, if we can't do it, we'll get PTC to do it for us. Like MathCAD is a perfect example. A lot of people have been asking to see MathCAD, so we weren't comfortable doing that ourselves, so we got PTC to come in and take care of that for us. Do we have any other questions?
We have someone with a raised hand. I'm going to unmute Jimmy. Jimmy, do you have a question, or was it answered? Oh, it was answered. Okay, thanks.
Well, let's see, we're at 12:48. If there's anything, okay, I guess I just saw another one pop up. Is Freestyle included or an extra cost module? Freestyle is, let's see. Freestyle was the one where I was grabbing the geometry and dragging it around. I made that really odd tennis handle. If that is actually something that is included with Creo Parametric, and I think that's pretty cool. The flexible modeling extension is not, however. So what you saw me doing here, moving some of the stuff around, that's an extra option. But it's honestly it's not that expensive. It's not, and I personally would have saved 2 to 3 times as much in time as I would if I'd got this extension. And as a matter of fact, if I ever buy this software personally, I'm absolutely going to buy this extension because I think it's that valuable.
We have another raised hand. It's Robert.
All right.
Let me unmute Robert. Okay, it's all yours.
Hey, Robert, did you have a question?
It looks like he did ask it here. He typed it in. Does Creo Parametric offer a threading profiling tool, i.e., the ability to cut threads?
And that's the same as it was in like Wildfire 5 and I believe Wildfire 4 and maybe even Wildfire 3. That the like if I want to come in here and create a hole and put cosmetic threads on it, then that's I've got my UNC and UNF and ISO, and I think there's actually you can even add in like NPT tapered threads. We used a lot of pipe threads in my last job. I can't remember if that was a custom thing we made or if that was something we downloaded. And it'll create it'll create cosmetic threads. If you wanted to go in and let's say for a lot of the marketing materials we did, we actually went in and used helical sweeps to cut cosmetic threads that actually had a thread form, like on models you'd download from MasterCard or something like that. Excuse me. But it's purely just a cosmetic thing where it'll show you kind of where the thread engagement is. Let me actually put something on here real quick. Let's say UNC, and we'll make that a inch 8. Oh, this is a really big part. That's why. So if I want to come in here, you can see that it shows me the thread form. Edit definition, I can go in and it'll actually, it'll show me roughly where the major and minor IDs are, and then it'll put a note in, like you can read right here, 7/8 drill, and the call out the tap and all of that good stuff. We did use a lot of that at my last job as well. If hopefully that answered your question. If not, like I said, feel free to shoot me an email later. Wow, that part is huge. I didn't realize how big the part was. That's an inch diameter hole. This must be like a 300-inch across part. Does anyone else have any other questions? Well, if not, like I said, let me throw our contact info back up here. If not, thank you guys for joining us. We're going to cut you out, 8 or 9 minutes early here, so hopefully you get a little bit of rest before you have to jump right back into work. We really appreciate you guys jumping on and watching this. This really gives us a chance to interface with our customers, and it allows us to put some stuff out there that we think will help you out. So if there's anything you guys want to see, or if you guys have any questions, or you think I'm doing a terrible job and you want to email my boss and tell him he needs to fire me, then go right on ahead. Here's the email addresses. Which no, the last thing, don't ask him to fire me. Please don't do that. I need my job. But we thank you guys for joining, and hope you guys had a good time, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Also, next Thursday we're going to be covering Creo Mechanism Dynamics extension, so we hope to see you there as well. Hope everybody has a great rest of the week.
All right, well, thank you guys.